Company secretary is a person who is a member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, who is appointed by a company to perform the function of a company secretary. Secretary is one of the principal officer of the company with the requisite qualification to undertake secretarial work and management affair of the company as per unit provision of Act. An officer of organization who deals with correspondence, admit new members, and organize official meeting and event. Every company must appoint at least one person as company secretary who is qualified to act and is a natural person of mature age residing in Malaysia and is not an undischarged bankrupt.
Hi, my name is Nur Izana Ami, and my meeting number is TMS181035. And I will present about the legal provision in Companies Act 2016 of company. So, the difference between legal provision in Companies Act 1956 and 2016. The first one is appointment of secretary. The first secretary of a company shall be appointed within 30 days from the date of incorporation of a company. The next difference is a company shall have at least one secretary who shall be natural person, 18 years of age and above, a citizen or a permanent resident of Malaysia. Next, the difference between qualification for a company secretary, which is a member of a body as set out in the first schedule or licensed by the Commission under Section 20G of the Companies Commission of Malaysia Act 2001. Then we have the new Act in Companies Act 2016, which is Register of Secretary that say the first one is the registrar shall cause a register of secretaries to be kept. The registrar shall issue a practicing certificate to the secretary if he satisfies all the requirements of the new Company Act. Any person who is qualified to act as secretary is required to register with the registrar before the appointment as a secretary. Existing secretary are required with the registrar within a period of 12 months from the commencement of the new Company Act. Lastly, the difference between resignation and vacating the position of secretary. The secretary may resign from his office by giving notice to the board subject to constitution or the terms of appointment. The secretary shall cease to be secretary of the company on the expiry of 30 days from the date of the notice, and if none of the directors in the company can be communicated with the last non-residential address, the secretary may notify the registrar of the fact and his intention to resign from the office. The secretary shall cease to be the secretary of the company on the expiry of 30 days from the date of the notice to the registrar. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Hayati, DMS 181057. So today I will present about the legal provision in Companies Act 1965. So every company must appoint at least one or more person as company secretary who is qualified to act and is a natural person of mature age residing in Malaysia and undischarged bankrupt. So the differences between the Companies Act 1965 and Companies Act 2016 is appointment of secretary. The first secretary of a company shall be named in the memorandum or articles of the company. Second, every company shall have one or more secretaries, each of whom shall be a natural person, full age, and has principal or only place of residence in Malaysia. Third is the qualification of company secretary. A member of a professional body, any other body, which has for the time being been prescribed by the minister by notification published in the Gazette or is licensed by the registrar for that purpose. 4 is the registrar Register of the Secretaries. There is non-register for secretaries in Companies Act 1965. Last is resignation and vacating for position of secretary. The resignation of secretary is by way of tendering a letter of resignation to the company. The board is responsible to appoint another qualified person as a replacement. Moreover, where none of the directors of the company can be communicated with at the last known residential address, the secretary may lodge with the registrar a notice in the prescribed form notifying the registrar of the fact and of its intention to vacate the office of secretary. The secretary shall cease to be the secretary of the company on the expiry of 1 month from the date of the notice.
My name is Nurul Hazira binti Muhammad Nasruddin. My matric number DMS 181025. So today I would like to present about qualification and disqualification company secretary. A company qualification: first, natural person; second, 18 years and above; third, a citizen or permanent resident of Malaysia; fourth, a member of a body as set out in the fourth schedule of license by the Commission under Section 20 of the Company Commission of Malaysia. Membership of Institute of Company Secretariat of India, or we call ICSI. 6. Pass all required examination conducted by the ICSI. 7. Postgraduate of Corporate Secretaryship Award by any recognized University of India. For educational qualification of company secretary, first, a company secretary has to deal with many people of name and fame. So he must have higher education for better understanding. Second, he represents the company to the outside world and therefore he should have language proficiency to be well conversant. Professional qualification of company secretary. First, a company secretary specialized knowledge on secretarial practical to deal with notice, agenda, resolution, minutes of meeting. He must know about office correspondence for communication. Second, a company secretary must sufficiently know on Company Act, industrial, commercial law, and law of income tax, Stamp Act, accounting principle and rule of Security and Exchange Commission to deal with legal and statutory affairs. For this qualification, company secretary, a person shall be qualified to act as a secretary if he is an undischarged bankrupt. Second, he ceases to be a member of the body prescribed by the minister under Section 139A. C. He gets to be a holder of a valid license issued under Section 139B. And last, he is convicted within or without Malaysia of any offence mentioned in subsection 130 sub 1.
Hi, my name is Siti Aisyah binti Ahmad Bakri and my matric number is DMS 181054. So today I will be talking about appointment, removal and resignation of company secretary. Okay, so now we will be talking about removal and resignation. A company secretary may resign by a notice to the board. The position of the vacant company secretary must not be left unfilled for more than 30 days. Form Section 58 reflecting the resignation and appointment of new secretary must be lodged with the registrar of the companies within 14 days. In practice, the removal and the appointment of new secretary is done simultaneously. So now I will explain about Section 239, Companies Act 2016, removal of a secretary. Since the company secretary is appointed by the directors, it goes without saying that the directors also have the power to remove him. The removal of company secretary by the directors is similar to the procedure when the company secretary resigned. However, in corporate service, in order to be more efficient, the removal of the company secretary is often done simultaneously with the appointment of new secretary since the position cannot be vacant for more than 30 days. To summarize, the procedure as follows. So first, the directors will pass the resolution to remove the current company secretary and appoint a new one. Number 2, the new company must execute the Form 48F. Number 3, the company then lodge the certified true copy of the said resolution, Form 48F and Form 49. So right now, I will be talking about Section 237, Companies Act 2016, Resignation of a Secretary. There are 4 things that include in this section. So first, subject to the Constitution or terms of appointment, a secretary may resign from the office by giving a notice to the board. Second, if none of the directors of the company can be communicated at the last known residential address, the secretary may, notwithstanding the subsection 235 sub 1, notify the registrar of the companies on that fact and his intention to resign from the office. Number 3, the secretary shall cease to be a secretary of the company on the expiry of 30 days from the date of the lodge under subsection sub 1 or the period specified in the constitution or the terms of appointment. Second, on the expiry of 30 days from the date of the notice to the registrar under subsection sub 2. Then lastly, number 4, in this section, nothing in subsection sub 1 and sub 2 shall relieve the secretary from liability for any act or omission done before the secretary vacated that office. Okay, next is appointment. As we know that the roles and responsibilities to be a company secretary is to be an officer and advisory to the board, compliance with the statutory requirements and advisory, preparation of board meetings, filing annual returns, custody of company seal, and also primary point of contact. Every company registered as Private Limited Sdn Bhd Company is required to appoint a company secretary. The company secretary of a Malaysian company must appoint a natural person as well as a resident of Malaysia. The roles and duties of company secretary are defined by the Malaysian Association of Company Secretaries, MACS, with whom licenses are governed and regulated by the Company Commission of Malaysia, CCM. All company secretaries in Malaysia must be licensed by the CCM. Usually, the appointment is effected by passing the director's resolution stating that a person is to be appointed as a company secretary. However, it must be noted that before the appointment, the person to be appointed as a company secretary must execute the Form 48F, which is his declaration stating that he is consented to the appointment and he is a qualified person to act as a company secretary. After the appointment, the Form 48F, the certified copy of said director's resolution, and Form 49 must be lodged with the Companies Commission of Malaysia, CCM, within 1 month from the effective date of the appointment. Form 49 is a form by the company to communicate the details of managers, directors, and the company secretary to the CCM. For your additional information, if you are running a small business and you don't have resources to hire a full-time secretary, there is still a solution for this. You can outsource your company secretarial services. You can engage the services of a professional firm like Paul Hyde Page, whose corporate secretarial services package will be more than sufficient for your business needs. Okay, back to the topic. The first company secretary shall be appointed within 30 days from the date of incorporation of the company. The Companies Act 2016 requires that every company is to have at least one secretary, but a company is allowed to appoint more than one secretary. The board shall appoint a secretary and determine the terms and conditions of such appointment. The Form 58 and Section 236 sub 2, the appointment of first secretary is required to be filed with the Registrar of Companies within 14 days. The particulars of company secretary shall be entered in the register book. So right now, I will tell you about Section 236, Companies Act 2016, the appointment of secretary. There are 4 things will be discussed together. So the first is the board shall appoint the secretary and determine the terms and conditions of such appointment. Maybe they will tell the person they will provide bonus every year. Okay, that also can include as term and conditions. Number 2, notwithstanding subsection sub 1, the appointment of the first secretary shall be made within 30 days from the date of incorporation of the company. So number 3, no person shall be appointed as a secretary unless he is consented in writing to be appointed as secretary. Like I said just now, the form 48F, he will present his full name, his former name, his usual residential address, his date of birth, and his business occupation. Second, he is qualified under subsection 235 sub 2, which is state that the secretary shall be a member of a body as set in the 4th schedule, a person licensed by the Commission under Section 20G of the Company Commissions of Malaysian Act 2001. Number 3, he is not disqualified under Section 238, which states that secretary will be disqualified if he is an discharged bankrupt, he is convicted whether in or outside of Malaysia in any offence referred to in Section 198, he is ceased to be a holder of a practicing certificate issued by the registrar under Section 241. Okay, lastly, number 4, Section 236, the company and every person who contravene this section commit an offence.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Shafinas binti Caroline and my matching number is DFS181030. So today I'm going to present about the function and the duties of the company secretary. So the duties of the company secretary is to support the chair in smooth functionals of the management committee. These are the duties of the company secretary. The first one is to ensure that the meetings are effectively organized and minuted. Number 2, maintaining effective records and administrations. Number 3, uploading the requirements of documents of the development, for example, charity law, company law, and other more. And the last is responsible to communicate with the correspondence of the committee. So, the functions of the secretary is to ensure the meetings are effectively organized and minuted. For example, liaising the minutes with chair to plan meetings and receiving agenda item from the committee members, secretary approve minutes and checking that agreed actions are carried out. Next is maintaining effective records and administrations. For example, keeping up to date. For example, address, telephone number, names for the management committee and ordinary members of the organizations, filing minutes and report and compiling lists of names and the address that are useful to the organizations. Furthermore, uploading legal requirements, for example, acting as custodians of the organization government documents, checking quorum is present at the meetings and ensure elections are in the line with stipulated procedure. Moreover, is responsible to communicate and respond to the correspondence. So, responding to all committee correspondence and filing all the committee and correspondence received and copies of the reply stands. Last but not least, reporting the activities of the organizations and future programmers to the members, the press, and the public. So, for the conclusion is, a leader may be a variety of types, but a true competent leader is one of the encompasses that afford say qualities. It is essential for a great leader to be dynamic and constantly involving that he or she may lead the teams in the most beneficial manner. So, having a wide knowledge and diverse background will not only help make informed decisions, but also it can increase the level of compassion. The perfect leader is one which has all blends characteristics and can call upon he or she attributes to meet the necessary situation. In the past, the role of secretarial is led by a man and resumed at handling on correspondence in private and confidential matters by performing stenographic duties. Nowadays, we can say that the role of secretarial is led by a woman in age of information and also technology. The past few years appear that more and more facilities due to the evolutions of technology, information, and also accessibility. Emotional competence is twice more important than technical and intelligence abilities. The development of emotional intelligence is representing for understanding and the emotionals for creating the harmonious relationship with the others. The benefits of the emotional intelligence is to increase the performance, evolution, confidence, and efficient management and excellent teamwork. So that's all from our group. Thank you.